So today we're going to discuss insider threats. Insider threats are unintentional and intentional uh, misbehaviors within organizations that contribute to various data breaches, stealing of information, modifying of information, or selling of information to outside parties. So we have the CIA triad, right? We have confidentiality, we have integrity, we have availability. Information as proprietary or otherwise legally or organizationally protected should remain confidential to everyone except for the stakeholders, employees, and members of an organization that need to have access to that information, that have the proper credentials and or clearance. Integrity means that the information cannot be modified or changed in some way. So you want to have non-repudiation. You want to have information sent from one party to another, whether it's via email, via text message, and you want that information to be sent through without it being altered by some third party. Insider threats are responsible for anywhere from 65 to over 80% of data breaches and other organizational hacks around the country and around the world. So insider threats are still the primary concern within cybersecurity frameworks for cyber defense and, by extension, blue team. So phishing is one way that insider threats can be taken advantage of, even if it's unintentional. So emails being sent, text messages being sent, or phone calls from a party pretending to be somebody in charge in the organization or part of the IT department or some other important part of the organization. So while there are cybersecurity awareness programs provided for a lot of medium and large corporations, and for a number of medium businesses and even some small businesses, employees and stakeholders and even executives are very busy focused on what they specialize in and what their expertise is in. And they're focused on their day-to-day tasks. They don't always pay attention to the email before clicking on the link, not realizing there's spelling errors, grammatical errors, punctuation errors that are glaring. So have one pause and ask oneself, is this an issue? Also, if you look at the heading for the actual URL from the sender, you can usually find there's an error in the URL as well, or the email address. But a lot of times, participants even unwittingly in an insider threat don't pay attention to this. So more cyber awareness training might be warranted in certain ways, but it also is the case that more effective firewalls and spam protection needs to be put in place for organizations. Now, for small and medium businesses, of course, the question is, how much is this going to cost me? Do I have a budget for this? Is it really necessary? We haven't been a target so far. Or we have been a target, but it had minimum invasiveness and damage, and we were able to mitigate. The answer is yes. It's still important to try to automate as many cybersecurity defense mechanisms as possible, and to modernize and update and upgrade as necessary with the new threat landscape. So every year, the threat vectors become more sophisticated. They are increasing in frequency, they are increasing in variety, and the threat landscape now has larger threat surfaces, meaning there's more areas within software, hardware, and digital networks for external parties to compromise. And then the internal weaknesses of the insider threat make it much more easy for attackers and hackers and crackers and phishing to be effective on various organizations. So I'm brand or vendor agnostic. There are certain brands and vendors I have more experience with, but the idea is to use the next generation firewall with internal and external protection, to have separation of LAN from something called the demilitarized zone. And we'll go into more detail about how these work in future videos. But the overview is next generation firewalls, machine learning or AI-based spam protection. It's not foolproof. AI or machine learning spam protection through emails will not capture all spam emails or all phishing attempts, but it will greatly reduce the phishing attempts from getting through. So the combination of a next generation firewall, machine learning, based, and machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. It basically is just over time, a system increases performance that through experience, like a human being does, like a neural network or some other similar applied program through machine learning. And so having that put in place, in addition to blacklisting certain URLs, blacklisting certain spam emails manually as well, setting certain things up and configuring will greatly improve the internal security. More cyber awareness training is still recommended because not everyone is aware of these issues that I've discussed today. But there are a lot of stakeholders, executives, employees who are aware, but they're not following the system. And it's not their fault in the sense that they don't really understand the weight of the problem. They're like, well, we're not Target, we're not PayPal, we're not T-Mobile, we're not Verizon, right? And I'm not saying anything bad about these companies, but these companies were compromised recently, and it's in the news, it's public knowledge. And so they're big targets because they're successful companies. So small and medium businesses, excuse me, or smaller corporations may think that they don't need to invest in their cybersecurity program. But they do, and there are affordable ways to apply this. And we'll go more into detail the technical aspects next time, and then some ways that we can do assessments and create a package and a roadmap for SMBs and smaller corporations. Thank you for your time.